I hate both of you.
Oh, you can
Uh,
say something to me if you want.
oh, no, no, no. That's
I just
exactly
didn't
what
want
I
to
was going to
forget
say.
to. I didn't
I
want to
was just
forget.
I was just laughing at myself because of the two movies we're watching today.
Yeah, you should.
I all right. So you know what? Let's just
Let's just
welcome to
welcome.
One Foot on the Ground.
Error Tuesday. This is Ashley.
And this is Johnny. And what are we watching today, John?
Today we are watching the beautiful and wonderful The Phantom of the Opera from
Mhm.
1925
Crushed it.
and
The
Valentine,
beautiful and wonderful Valentine from 2001.
not a space odyssey.
Listen,
Not at all.
listen,
Uh,
John. All right, no. Before we begin, I'm gonna give like a 2 sentence description of your movie, and I want you to describe my movie and just like the briefest little things. Ready? I'm
okay,
ready.
go ahead.
A man who can't take rejection and is criticized for his appearance decides to murder people to win favor of and isolate a girl he likes. Also, he's good at piano.
Also, he's good at piano. Um, and for your movie, um,
Same description.
you
They're
will
the same movie.
regret having sat through this movie. Uh, oh my gosh.
And also, he has no nosebleeds.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's get started here. Um, Up first is, of course, The Phantom of the Opera from 1925.
Mhm.
Um, so, I mean, if you have lived under a rock, you don't know what this story is about. But it obviously was turned into a very, very famous musical in what was it, 1987-ish, somewhere around there. Um, and we can talk a little bit about that, but not too much. And then, of course, it was made into a horrible movie by Joel Schumacher. Um,
Whoa, which one is the horrible one? Is
the
that the one with
musical version.
the whoa? Don't people love that one?
I don't know why. Um,
What do you mean you don't know why?
we'll get into it.
People
We'll
like
get into
sing
it.
song.
I love the musical. I think it's a brilliant musical. I have no problems with the musical. I have a problem with how Joel Schumacher directed that movie. I don't think he did a good job. He doesn't actually do a very good job ever. So,
Oh,
oh, I know, and he's gay.
wow.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Gay people can do bad things too.
they can, and he proves it all the time. Um, so anyway, so this film, where do I even begin? So obviously it's set at the Paris Opera House and the catacombs and such below. Um, which I don't know if is the Paris Opera House built above catacombs. I honestly don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. Um, but this is a silent film, obviously. That's our theme for these things. And it's kind of weird because I don't think that a lot of people realize that it was originally a silent film. Um, and even me, I feel like I do kind of remember it being a sound film, but it was not. Especially because Lon Chaney's in it. He plays the Phantom, and he is fantastic. Um, but And the problem is that I wrote notes for your movie, but I didn't write notes for my movie because I figured I don't need to, but I kind of feel like I should have.
I lost my notes for your movie.
Did you
But
really?
don't worry. I did. I wrote notes for your movie, but not my movie. And
I tend to
yeah,
do
so
that.
here we
Yeah, I tend to do that. So we're kind of lost.
are.
We're
No,
lost.
I've got things to say about Mr. Eric.
Yeah, I do too, honestly. Okay, so I mean, like I said, if you lived under a rock and don't know what the movie's about, it's about the Paris Opera House. These two dudes come in and buy it. And the previous owners are like, by the way, there's a phantom of this opera,
Yeah.
and he
After
haunts
the
the shit
salesman
out of
leave.
it.
Yeah.
Seriously, like right after they're signed the papers and everything, and then they're like, oh, by the way, as we're walking out the door, there's a phantom. Watch out. And he basically, the phantom is very gifted musically. And he basically is training this young, attractive singer while she's in her dressing room. Like he's behind her mirror and he's training her on how to be brilliant at what she does. And it's working. She is very, very good. But the problem is there is a diva up in the place, and she's not happy that this little Christine is taking all of her damn parts or whatever.
Well, it's the diva's mom.
Well, yeah, it's mostly the diva's mom.
It's like a stage mom just mad about this Christine girl.
Yeah.
But to be fair, that also homegirl has like a role, like the stage mother's daughter is the lead in this performance, and then suddenly some phantom is like, put Christine in there instead, otherwise bad things will happen, and she's like, no.
Absolutely not.
It is kind of like, who do you think you are?
Yeah, he's a jackass. You don't actually see him for a lot. You see his silhouette on the wall and so forth, or like the silhouette of him doing horrible things in the rafters. One of them looked kind of dirty too. I noticed that. I was like, oh, looks like he's stroking the shit out of that lever. Anyway, like, this is my phallic penis. Anyway, so beyond the point. So he anyway, so she does do a performance, everything goes well, everybody loves it, it's great. But then of course the mother demands that her daughter do the next performance, and they're like, well, we kind of shouldn't because the phantom is going to do something bad. We don't know what it is, but it could be really bad. So they basically they let her sing, the diva, and she sings, and the phantom's like, well, fuck y'all, I'm gonna drop this chandelier right on the damn audience, which is kind of
not
rude.
even on the
not
stage.
Even on the stage, like on the
audience.
Now I do kind of want to talk about the musical because it is kind of, the whole thing is kind of cool. But anyway, let's finish this first. I'll finish the synopsis of what's going on here. So the phantom drops a chandelier. It's like a big deal. There's some crushed people. It's really sad and horrible. Everybody's screaming and running. And I don't really remember what happens next, but at some point, the phantom kidnaps Christine, takes her into the dungeons. But when he appears, he shows up in this really bizarre mask. Not like the one that we're familiar with the musical. The musical is very romantic and pretty, and his half face thing, it's very sexy.
It's still a half-faced mask. It's just top to
nose,
like forehead to nose, instead of like
but the bottom half is still
there's
still
a curtain.
Yeah, there's like a curtain that covers up his mouth, so you don't see any of his face. and it's a really creepy mask, to be honest. It's not it's not. And of course Christine's like, oh, I don't know. I mean, you've been sitting here talking to this man in the walls. What did you think he was going to look like? I mean,
Yeah. Brad Pitt.
I mean, he looks like, yeah, he's Brad Pitt behind the wall.
He's
There's
got
a
a
reason
voice of an angel, John.
he does. Well, and Michael Crawford did, but we'll get into that. Um, Lon Chaney probably did not. I don't know. So, and that's the other thing about this is how interesting it is to make a silent film out of this, because, you know, most of this is talking about music and everything, but, you know, we don't hear anything. But anyway, so
in fact, we also hear the same score throughout the whole movie. It doesn't fluctuate. It doesn't change.
Yeah, it's not very dynamic.
Like Paxton had
yeah,
like that music like went up and down like for almost like somebody was actually scoring it.
Yeah, we actually, and we should bring this up too. We watched the version that is available on Amazon to rent or buy. I don't recommend this version because it's not good. I was talking to Ashley about this before we started, that you really need to see this one in as high definition as possible, because it is actually a very beautiful film, especially for the time, for 1925. It is a spectacular situation, but you miss all of that detail in that version. It looks like it's literally a copy from a VHS. Like you can see the lines from the VHS, the tracking.
I did. So I know it wasn't of great quality, but it was like, it's old, you know? And maybe because like we grew up with like VHS tapes and like all that tracking and the little shifting thing, I kind of liked it. I kind of liked those bits. And I know like we're quality snobs, you and I know we are.
Well, there's a reason that this one should be seen in better quality, and we'll get to it. But
is it the tinting?
No, it's not tinted until the Masquerade Ball. The Masquerade Ball is actually not tinted. It's two-tone Technicolor, and it is one of the first to ever use this process. And it's slightly different from the tricolor, which happened obviously later, but two-tone was just green and red, and of course your black and white negative. So they filmed it, I don't know. I'm not going to explain how cameras work, but you know, they basically had.
Why not?
Okay, well, for two-tone, they had basically three different strips of film. They had the red, the green, and the black and white. And this camera would film all three at the same time, so that later, once you've developed all three, you can layer them together and it will give you color. And it's not quite as spectacular as it eventually will be because it's only two-tone, but it actually does have very beautiful coloring to the whole thing. And it makes a huge difference because, of course, in the Masquerade, he comes out in this red cloak and he's got this skull facing, and it's fantastic. It's beautiful to look at, but you lose so much detail, and it's so blurry on that copy that we watched that I was like, I have definitely seen this, and it was very impressive when I saw it. Like, I was like, holy shit, I had no idea that could look that cool. So it is very cool. And also, Lon Chaney did his own makeup design, and he actually used egg whites on his eyes to give them a creepy, like cloudy effect, which is really fucking weird. But you know, this is 1925. They probably didn't know you shouldn't put egg whites in your eye. But he did, and these are the things I'm talking about, like where you're losing all that like cool stuff by having a terrible copy of this movie. So I don't recommend that.
Up the images, and it is vastly different.
Yeah,
it is incredibly different. That's actually quite lovely.
Yeah, I was very disappointed. And like when I was watching it, I was like, God damn it, I hope this is not what she watched. And it was.
It was sure as shit
It
was.
sure
Yeah.
was. So I am going to invest in the Blu-ray for this movie. So we can watch it together in high definition. But that's for another day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's really good. But anyway, anyway, so he kidnaps Christine. It's mostly like Beauty and the Beast at this point. She brings him, or he brings her down into his creepy
There's a lair.
lair, which is, I mean, decked out. He's got a boat down there and a river, and he's got a fantastic bedroom. His bed actually was reused in Sunset Boulevard. It was the bed that she had in that movie. Anyway, a lot of this is actually really cool. The set for the Opera House, it actually, they kept it for the longest time. I think it was the studio, I think it was what, Studio 28, I think was the studio. It's a very famous set and stage, or stage 28. Yeah, stage 28. And we'll talk about sound stages too in a minute, because I have a lot to say about this. But which is funny that they filmed it on a sound stage, but whatever. For a non-sound film. Anyway, so this soundstage was very famous. It was actually demolished in 2014, but they did keep a lot of the Opera House set, and the Opera House set stayed on that set from when it was used in this film all the way until they demolished the soundstage. In what, it was 1966, I think, they restored the set back to its original, like when 1925 Phantom of the Opera, they restored it to that, to be used in Torn Curtain by Alfred Hitchcock. So they filmed that there. So the set is very, very famous, and you've probably seen it in other movies. Anyway, but, oh, so he brings her down to that whole thing, and she's like, what is she? I can't remember. Oh, I guess she still wants to be a performer in the opera. And he's like, well, fine. To show you how much I love you, I'll let you go up there and sing your heart out on the stage. And he lets her go or whatever.
I would like to also note that she goes back and forth with her interest in him.
Yeah.
Like, she seems to also, I don't want to say lead him on, because that's not the right term. Like, she seems to have interest in him and then pulls back when like she sees his face.
Yeah.
And then she's like, ooh, I don't know about living down here in these catacombs. It's kind of spooky.
Yeah, it's kind of
gross. She's like, but I could be a famous opera person. So she's really career focused, and almost like she's using him for her end game. Yeah. But also, you know, agreeing to things because like how could she protect herself against this this attacker? So of course, like, you know, like saying what he wants to hear to kind of leave is also a factor. Yeah. But I was like, this girl's pretty career driven. Like,
yeah,
stop going down there.
Yeah, she is. So it's hard not to talk about the musical when I'm talking about it, because I will talk about it, but I'm trying to hold back for a minute. So anyway, you know, so she goes back and forth, blah, blah, blah. Oh, but I wanted to say, when she goes down there the first time, I think it's the first time, this movie is a little bit long, I will say. I think it could have been shorter, but anyway, that's beside the point. So when she goes down there, and he says, like, you know, I'll give you my devotion and love and all this shit, but don't ever touch my mask. Like, if you touch my mask, I will be evil. And she's like, okay. And then she immediately touches his mask. And it's like, did you not hear him just now, ma'am?
Yeah.
don't touch his mask. It's like, don't touch my hair. It's like, don't. And she
Yeah, he
goes
was
for it
like, I'll literally
immediately.
give you everything and anything. Just don't touch my mask. And she's like, rip off your mask.
Is that what you said? So she rips it off. And of course, this is the reveal of his face. And
Mhm.
it was very, like, even the way that the director showed it to you, like, it's very shocking. Like when
Yeah,
it cuts to it and it's like, whoa, shit, that's his face.
I loved it.
And
I
it's fantastic.
loved that scene. Like she pulls it off and it just like lurches up and is like, "Ah!"
Ah!
Like he's like scared, but he's also scary.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And this was terrifying to people in 1925. Like this was like,
Terrifying
holy
now.
shit.
Well, only because of the scream, not because of his appearance.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. You can't hear anything.
Yeah, but I could feel it. He looked into my soul and was like, why is she doing this to me?
And I will also say that that, like I said before, this film should be seen in higher quality because it's a lot better when you can see the detail in his grotesque makeup. Now, also something to bring up. I recently saw this thing because the new James Bond movie is coming out, and Rami Malek is disfigured in this movie, much the way Lon Chaney is disfigured in this one. And there was actually this ad campaign that these people did that are basically, they have like these disfigured people, like real life disfigured people, like dressed up as superheroes. And they said, why does this, why are we always the villain in these things? Like
Right.
we're human beings just like you, and we can also be the superhero. And I thought that was kind of interesting. And it is kind of weird that we always do this in these movies. Like,
It's a very I don't know, like people tend to fear things they don't understand.
yeah,
And especially like in the 20s, like it seems kind of like obvious. Like even with Haxon, like people like persecuting these women because they were having any type of emotion.
yeah.
But like stuff that they don't understand, they're just like, burn her, she must be a witch. This
Or
guy doesn't look like your average person, and they're like, he must be a monster. Like, it's just kind of like as we go on, we become more educated and more I guess accepting. But
yeah.
it's not like we like humans are absolutely awful.
Oh,
um
absolutely.
and it seems, and like watching these things, it just seems so primitive, but a lot of that is still prevalent today.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, so the plot thickens. She goes back up, and it was kind of weird too because she did the same thing with her like romantic interest above ground, Raoul. She's like, I can't see you because I need to be with my master. And then she sees the master's face and she's like, well, maybe I do need to see you.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like girl. She's like,
And then of course she's
also
like,
the master thing was gross.
the what?
The master thing was gross.
Oh yeah, it's
Like
gross.
he kept
Yes.
being like, you
I'm
can
your
call me
master.
master. I'm
I
like,
am your
"What?"
master. Yeah, it's really gross.
She's like, okay. And she's like, wait a minute, you're not hot? Hold on.
So anyway, so she goes back up. Of course, she immediately, kind of like Beauty and the Beast, like she almost immediately, I mean, Belle didn't do it on purpose, but she basically, ruined shit. And now everybody wants to go after the Phantom and burn him alive or whatnot. So you have all this going on in the background, like, she's trying to make out with her dude up on the top of the roof, the Phantom spying the whole time. This all happens at the masquerade ball is kind of what propels the story into the next part. Like he comes up for the masquerade ball because it's the only time that he basically can, because he gets to wear
Wear a
full
mask.
and of course, like we said, it's spectacular. It's very beautiful. And then
And
anyway,
then she has
so
a secret meeting with her
Raoul up on the rooftop.
her ex. And the Phantom is is literally watching and yells, "She has betrayed me."
Which I don't know how they didn't hear that, but whatever.
It was super windy, John.
It was silent as well, so it's a silent film. So I guess maybe that was
Yeah,
you know,
maybe they didn't get to see
they
the title
didn't
card that we saw.
exactly. Yeah, they didn't get to read that, or that was backwards and they were confused. Like, oh, we're on the wrong side of the title card. I don't know what it said. So anyway, so I don't know. Stuff happens. He drags her back down. Doesn't he drag her back down? He drags her back down.
Yeah,
Oh no.
I don't.
Well, yeah, yes, he drags her back down. Everybody's going down into the dungeons to find her. And also the mob is coming for the Phantom. So everything's happening all at once. And the two guys, Raoul and I don't know what he is. Like, well, he turns out to be like a detective
a detective.
that has been like covering the case in the background. He kind of seemed creepy throughout the movie, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm a detective, by the way. I'm perfectly fine.
Well, yeah. So when the owners were told about a Phantom, they didn't quite believe it, and they started doing like their own personal investigation of it. And then later on, they were sent a letter from an old insane or mental institution, if I'm remembering correctly. Like it was
Oh
like a
yeah.
mental institution that was like, this guy Eric has escaped from this place what, a year ago, and or maybe even, I don't know how long this Phantom has been here, but he escaped from this mental institution, and they think that he could be in your town. In fact, we think that he is your Phantom. His name is Eric, and he's gifted in music, self-taught and gifted, and a master of black art. And I wonder if they meant like the dark arts, like magic. Because I was like, is he hypnotizing Christine, or is she just
okay? See,
yeah.
we're gonna have to bring up the musical, but
Well, but that, so this detective is linked to that because he's
yeah.
like looking for that guy. And also there seems to be a lot of murder happening in this opera house.
Yeah, there's like a lot going on.
Yeah.
And the torture like they end up in a torture chamber, which is covered in mirrors, which I thought was weird. I was like, okay,
Loved it.
well, I mean, it was fantastic for the film, but it's like very odd. Anyway, the Phantom's like traps them there, and he's like, I'm going to burn them alive.
Oh.
Well, burn them with heat, I guess. I don't know. It's like a sauna. I don't know exactly how that works, but he's like, they're going to boil to death in there. And she's like, oh, God, no, I'll do anything. Please save them. So he's like, no, or sort of. I don't know. No, not that point. Whatever. Anyway, they're burning everything. But the Raoul finds a little thing on the floor and basically finds the trap door to get out of there. So they go below the dungeon or the torture chamber, but they're stuck in a room full of barrels of gunpowder. They're like, oh shit, this is not good. And now the Phantom is like, okay, well, I'm going to give you, Christine, a choice. Like you can either, I guess, what?
Turn the scorpion or turn the
scorpion or turn the
Or
grasshopper.
Oh yeah.
There's a grasshopper. And what is it? The grasshopper will blow up the opera house, which I don't know why that was an option, but it was. And then the other one,
because of the gunpowder.
well, obviously, yes, I did realize that, but I was like, I guess basically he's given her a choice. Like, I couldn't remember what the other choice was though.
It was
it wasn't to free the
no, it was to save them but choose him. So either they live and she stays with the
The
Phantom,
Phantom,
or everyone dies. It's like
or
if I can't
everybody
have you,
dies.
no one will.
And you also don't
If
get
I'm
to
remembering
sing in the opera.
correctly. Yeah,
Because I'm
like
going to
don't
blow
forget
up
the
the opera
opera.
house. So she's like, she almost blows up the opera. She's like, maybe. And then she's like, nah, scorpion, turn it. And she does it very dramatically because it's 1925 and it's a silent film. And it's very dramatic, like her twisting hand turned. It's like ridiculous.
It was also like a beautiful like setup though. Like it's just like this weird chest that glows. It like has like a pane
It's
under
very
it and a
strange.
light
Very strange.
under the grasshopper and the scorpion. Like also Phantom, why do these exist in your home?
Why is this a thing? It's very
Well,
strange.
maybe you know what, maybe that would be like a good like escape thing, because like when she turns the scorpion, it's a scorpion, right?
She turns the scorpion, yeah.
The water in the catacombs drains
Now,
because
I
at the
wanted to
time it's
talk,
all rising.
yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about the water.
Mhm.
Because if I remember correctly, they said the catacombs and sewers below. And was this sewer water? I mean, was
It
this
could have
just like
been.
a big old poop vat? I mean, I just can't. And then everybody's like in
What
it.
were toilets like in 1925?
I don't know. Couldn't be good.
Like I
But
guess the
anyway,
septic system
but
probably
yeah,
wouldn't be as advanced, but
I mean, I don't understand how he has all this technology down there. I mean, he also has an alarm system to let him know when people are coming, that alerts him the mob's on the way, and just all kinds of things. But anyway, so yeah, his water drains from his little boat canal thing, which might be poop water. Possibly, but it basically floods the chamber that the dudes are in with all the gunpowder. Therefore, you can't use the gunpowder now, so you can't blow up the opera house. Darn it. We couldn't afford that special effect, so we will just douse the gunpowder anyway. And then around the same time, the mobs are finally about up in there. But this is where she saves them though, because basically they're drowning, and which that's probably why I was confused, because I was like, wait a minute, I thought he said that they would live, but maybe that was never the option, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, she says, I'll do anything, just please save them. And I don't know why that worked, but he said sure, and he opened up another trap door to let them out of that place that was right below them.
It's a matter of them trusting each other way too much.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, she ripped his mask off immediately, so I wouldn't trust her.
Yeah,
at all.
but she said, I'll do anything. And he's like,
Do
you know
anything.
what?
He's like,
She'll do anything.
a blowjob does
Maybe
sound
she really does
nice.
love me.
Did blowjobs exist back then? I don't know. So
They had to have.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure somebody put their mouth on something. Anyway, so anyways, everybody's running. Everybody's trying to chase the Phantom. He gets into the because Raoul had a carriage standing by, which was called a barouche. And I have to say that I am finally glad that I know what a barouche is, because I was like, oh shit, they talk about that in Sense and Sensibility, that he owns his own barouche. And I was like, okay, what is that? I thought it was like a house of some sort or a church. Turns out it's a carriage. So he owns his own barouche. Anyway, so Raoul had that standing by to whisk her away after the performance. Because the Phantom interrupted the performance too to kidnap her. That's what happened. Yeah, she was like singing her heart out, and then the Phantom was like, no, turn off the lights. Woo! Took her. Anyway, so
yeah, he made a whole scene
because Raoul and her and he eavesdropped and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so the Phantom is in the carriage. There's a chase and things, and horses luckily don't get hurt, but the carriage does topple over. It's very dramatic. They finally catch up with the Phantom and basically beat him to death and throw him into the Seine, which is the river by the Notre Dame, because they were right there. So yeah, they beat him to death and throw him, and that's the end. Literally, just says finish, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that was interesting. So, just for the record, he was originally supposed to die from a broken heart, and they found him at his organ, but that didn't happen. It happened very differently. So anyway, so now I want to talk about the musical briefly here. So the musical is actually quite spectacular. It's very, very well written and well produced specifically for the stage. Because when you're in the play, like you're the audience, there is a sense of threat because of the chandelier situation, because the chandelier does actually, well, because the way that the whole thing is set up is that, and it kind of happens in the movie too, but it's a little stupid. When the whole thing starts, it's at an auction. They're at the opera house and they're basically auctioning off parts of the opera house to get rid of it or whatever. And the first item up for auction is the famous chandelier that the Phantom dropped. And of course, it's sitting on the stage all broken and crazy. And in the stage version, that happens up on the stage and the chandelier comes to life and it gets lifted up above the audience. So, and it's very cool. And then at the end of the first act or whatever, or before intermission, is the big moment where the chandelier comes crashing down into the show, you know, because the Phantom's pissed that the prima donna is singing. So it's very cool. It's very amazing. And if you can see it in a theater that has an organ installed, it's very cool. Like, because the whole building kind of has that reverberation that you can feel because of the music.
Right.
It's very cool. But in the musical, it's actually very clever. And I think it's a way more understandable why Christine is going with the Phantom, because he basically hypnotizes her with his music because he's that good. So whenever he's singing to her from behind the mirror and whatnot, it's putting her into a trance, and then she follows him down into the cellars.
Okay.
So it works much better in the musical. Like, you understand a lot more why she's doing it. And the original musical was Michael Crawford. He was the Phantom, and he is a spectacular singer. He was also in Hello, Dolly with Barbra Streisand. He played the long, lanky leg dude, like those freaking legs that are crazy. Crazy legs. He's so tall. But anyway, he's the original Phantom, and Sarah Brightman was the original Christine, and the musical was written specifically for Sarah Brightman because Andrew Lloyd Webber and her were married at the time. Actually, I don't know if I think they were married. But he wrote it for her, and after she became famous because of this, she dumped his ass and moved on to other things. And honestly, and I'm going to say this, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for it, I do not like Sarah Brightman's voice. I never have. I don't like the way it sounds, and I don't know why, but I think she sounds weird. I mean, she can sing, but she has this very bizarre quality to her voice that I don't like. And it's not just in that musical. It's like all of her music that I've ever heard. She has the same weird thing, and I don't know what it is, but I don't like it. So when they made the movie, I was kind of excited because I was like, oh, finally somebody else is going to sing this. I've only ever heard her. I mean, obviously, if I went to a stage version, I would have heard somebody else sing it, but it didn't happen. Unfortunately, Michael Crawford didn't sing the Phantom part, so it wasn't quite as exciting. And so that would be the only reason I'd say I would prefer listening to the original cast recording, because it is slightly more exciting because of Michael Crawford. But again, I don't like, if they could replace Sarah Brightman's voice like George Lucas style, that would be cool. But they haven't done it yet. And they would only do it for me. Anyway. But Barbra Streisand and Michael Crawford, well, Barbara's done a couple songs from the show, and they actually did a duet of, I think it's Of All I Ask of You, from that, and her and Michael Crawford, and it is stunning, stunning. Maybe it's Music of the Night. Well, whatever. They do one of the songs, and the way that they made it a duet, it wasn't originally a duet in the musical, but Barbara made it a duet for her album with Michael Crawford, and their harmonizing is delicious. It's goosebumps all over. It's so good. They're just absolutely beautiful. But anyway, so in the musical, all these things are cool and very, it works better as a musical. And of course it makes sense that it's a musical because it's the Phantom of the Opera and they are supposed to be singing. So it's kind of cool. But anyway, so that's the musical rundown. Oh, and I did not like the movie because it was stupid. Like Joel Schumacher just did the worst job, especially with camera placement. If you're directing a musical, okay, why would you put the camera at a weird angle so that you can't see the dance, like the choreography, from a logical angle? He kept putting the camera in a weird spot. And I was like, why the fuck am I watching this from this angle? It is the weirdest thing. And then he also made the chandelier situation completely ridiculous. Like it had like this cord ripping out of the ceiling, and it was just, I don't know, it was just way too stupid. It didn't make much sense.
And this is the 2004 rendition.
Yes.
With like Emma Rossum, Minnie Driver, definitely.
Minnie Driver, yeah, Minnie Driver played.
Yeah.
She did not sing her own parts, but she was the diva that wanted to sing the part and didn't give a shit about the Phantom trying to
Doesn't
wreck
Minnie
the place.
sing in other things?
She does, but this particular situation, she was an opera singer, and she had to sing an operatic kind of thing, and Minnie, I guess, does not have the training for that, so she did not do that.
Yeah, I guess that's quite specific.
Yeah. And her part is like, oof, I mean, that's some high notes you have to hit up in there. But anyway, but yeah, I love the musical. I think it's definitely worth seeking out. I think it's very cool. Especially the original cast recording from 1987. Excellent, except for Sarah Brightman's weird voice. But you still get the gist of the situation, and it's very goosebumpy. Very, very good.
Right.
Anyway, so they did actually produce a sound version of this, and it came out in 1930, but it's been lost. Like nobody knows what happened to it. So it's gone. Oh,
so is that why they did it on? Is it like a sound version from this film, or a sound version that they re-recorded? Because this film was recorded in a sound studio.
I did not look into it more.
Okay.
So I don't exactly know, but I'm guessing that they probably, did kind of what they did when they did like the first sound films. They would, we might have discussed this before, but like the Blue Angel with Marlene Dietrich, which is one of the first sound films. They dubbed it, well, not dubbed it, they performed it in German and in English. So they would do the entire film, like they would do each scene, they would film it in German, then they would reset and film it in English, the same scene. So you got basically the same movie, but in two different languages. And they did this a lot back then because they didn't realize you could just dub it.
Because they couldn't just dub it. Yeah.
Yeah, they hadn't quite figured that out yet. Fellini figured that out later.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm not
but
saying that
isn't
that's
that
not a true fact, people. Fellini didn't invent dubbing. I'm just making fun of Fellini always dubbing. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say that that just seems like a more, I don't want to say like more quality, not to say that dubbing like isn't an art in itself.
Oh, it is,
Because
yeah.
there are very good like dubbing actors out there.
Yeah.
But it just seems like you're, I don't know, like just going the extra mile to film two versions of the same movie to give like the same experience from the same actors from the same like whatever.
Exactly. I think the only problem that happened with some of that is like Marlene Dietrich's accent. I mean, she always had a pretty thick accent, no matter what. I mean, even up until her later days or whatever. But she, very distinctive accent. But she, it was kind of hard to understand her because I actually did have both, because they do still have them. And when they release them, they usually put them together. So you can get both versions, and they are slightly different, each version, which is kind of cool just to see it. Like, you know, back to back, you watch them. It's kind of cool. But she had a very thick accent, and this happened a lot. Like even Fellini, when dubbing was going on, this is a little bit more in the future here. When he did La Strada, Julieta, his wife, did do the English dub, but maybe no, it wasn't La Strada. I think it was Knights of Cabiria. It was one of those two. Anyway, her accent is so thick that it's kind of hard to understand what she's saying. So, because she didn't really speak English, she was Italian, and you know, but she tried to do her best to do the English dub of, I think it was Knights of Cabiria. But obviously it didn't really work very well because she couldn't understand her, because her accent was too thick and she didn't really know all the words she was saying. So that happened a lot at some point. But anyway, well, that, and they figured out dubbing, so they didn't have to film both at the same time. But I still think it's I think it's fascinating to do it that way. I think it's way cool. But I did want to bring up, because we're doing the silent films and talking about them, and I was saying when we watched Fritz Lang that the sets were always so impressive, like on these films, like these massive, huge sets, and very cool to look at, very cool to film. And I kind of realized why the sets got smaller and they weren't as spectacular. It had nothing to do with like not wanting to have those things. It was sound, because you'd have to build everything on a sound stage, and because of that, they'd have to be technically smaller for the most part. So, you know, building these gigantic outdoor crazy sets and stuff like that really weren't a thing back then, or well, for a certain period. Obviously now you can do whatever, but they didn't really have that.
While they were figuring out sound, they had to dial
it in and make things smaller. So I can't be, I'm not 100% sure that that's what happened, but it's, you know, I feel like that is why there was a loss of the specter of making film at some point, because they were making it with sound and had to have it all on a sound stage in order to control the quality of the sound. Which is why you don't have a gigantic, you know, temple or something that people are walking around, because how in the world would you do that? You wouldn't be able to do that unless you dubbed. And of course, like I said, they didn't really catch on to the dubbing situation till later, because they would do two versions of the film. So I'm pretty sure that's why that happened. It's almost like we talk about this too. I'm certain we did, but why films started going into widescreen, because originally films were always like the old standard television size. almost like
Yeah.
a square, because that's just how it was. But when televisions became popular is when filmmakers had to do something else to get people to go to the theater. So then they started, VistaVision, and then they did the 70 millimeter and the widescreen, just all that crazy stuff, so that it was something you couldn't see at home. You'd have to go to the theater to see it. So that's why all that was invented, was to get people to actually go to see a movie, rather than like, oh, I'll just watch my television because Johnny Carson's on. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and in the history of film, things like that, to like to dial people back in to the experience, to
Yeah.
either make it more immersive or whatever. Like, we still see that today. I mean, like, it was widescreen and then surround sound.
Oh yeah.
Just to name like the major things: surround sound, then 3D. We currently have D-Box, and then there's theaters now that are exploring more and more 4D. Not to say that 4D didn't exist, because like D-Box, hello, but like
Well,
smells and like mists of like rain and like whatever,
yeah, which is
things like
smart.
that.
I think it's exciting. Like,
Yeah,
I would totally pay money to have that experience, because it'd be fun. It'd be cool.
yeah. Yeah, we'll go to one of those theaters. But even just surround sound is like, I
Yeah.
still think it's incredible. Or
Well,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, building on that, like, we might have talked about it before, I can't remember, but one of the first, it's called, I can't remember what it's called. Maybe, I can't remember what it's called, but it's Akira Kurosawa did it with, I think Hidden Fortress was the first one to use the sound where it had a speaker in the center and then two on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And so it had a wider sound than other films. And it was specifically for the theater, like, so that you would, and of course that was also super widescreen. Those are like the 70 millimeter style things where it's
Yeah.
like really big and across your vision, like can't get away from it.
Theaters are still set up like that, by the way. Under that curtain, under the screen, we would have we had like a big we have speakers under it.
Yeah.
I no longer work for a movie theater.
Well, still
But
feel
yeah,
involved, still feel there. What was I?
yeah, I've worked for
Perspective
a
sound.
couple.
I think it was Perspective Sound, where it was, so,
Mhm.
and it was like that, where, if the sound was coming from the left, it was in that left speaker.
Mhm.
Excuse me, if it was coming from the right, it was coming from the right. So it really made a difference with how people experienced it in the theater. And then later, and I kind of think it's crazy that, because, well, Skywalker did, because it was Skywalker Sound had to install things for Star Wars. And it was Empire Strikes Back, I believe it was. I don't think it was the first Star Wars, but it was Empire, that basically George said, y'all need to upgrade your sound or you can't have the movie. So
Yeah,
all
that was
these theaters were like, well, we got to
THX?
upgrade.
No,
Yeah, well,
that's not. Yeah.
yeah, I
Is
think it
that
was
is that
THX.
the yeah,
The audience is now deaf. Yes.
yes. Yeah. Yeah, he was like, I shot it for this and we'll only play it on this. And
Exactly.
a lot of people push that change to theaters for other things as well. Like even was it Paramount? Was Paramount the first to be like, we're only releasing our stuff digitally now. We're no longer doing 30,
Yeah.
35. So anyone
Like
who didn't have a 35 millimeter projector like had to
yeah.
upgrade and
No, I mean,
like,
they
to, like,
kind
a
of do
4K
that.
or whatever.
They kind of do that, like force people into the newest technology, because like if you don't have our films, you know, like if people didn't have Empire Strikes Back when that came out, like you're
That
losing
was a
money.
lot of money lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
you would
even
have
though
to
like
invest in upgrading your theater, because you
I
had to have that movie playing.
I was working for a movie theater that around the
Oops.
time of the transition, we were one of the first in the area. Something we advertised a lot, that we had Sony projectors. So we had Sony 2K projectors, and then we got Sony 4K projectors we upgraded. So 4K was like super big. at the time, and we were constantly advertising that we were doing digital and then had blacker blacks and such like that. But I remember those projectors costing at least $20,000 each, and
Jeez.
we had 20 of them.
Oh, that's
Because our
insane.
entire theater was upgraded. We had 35 still in a lot of places because some things weren't digital yet because it was like a transition.
Yeah.
And then there was a period after we fully transitioned. It was very rare, but sometimes we would get films that were either only offered on print or it was like a special thing. I think one of the Lord of the Rings movie, maybe it was like 70 millimeter or something, or maybe it was the other
Oh,
one, and Interstellar. It was Lord of the Rings and Interstellar. I want to say both did like,
Hobbit did something weird too. He
well,
did,
I may have been including Hobbit when I said Lord of the Rings.
yeah, it
One of
was
those, yeah.
Hobbit was done in, oh, I can't remember what it is. It's like 40 frames per second or something weird. So it
Yeah.
had to be projected a certain way in order to see it correctly.
Mhm.
I don't think all theaters had the ability to do it.
Yeah,
So you saw the,
we kept like a couple of our old setups because like also our theater didn't have a lot of movie theaters have elevators in them, and our theater did not. Our projectors were installed while the building was being built, so there
oh,
wasn't like it just had normal door frames. We did not have like wide doors anywhere except from like the concession to the back room uh for all of our pallets of popcorn. um but yeah, so you would like those things had to be like dismantled and
oh
brought to our theater.
goodness.
I'm sure there's other theaters that are like that. Like obviously like Tampa Theater doesn't have um an elevator. Well, do they? Uh but
Actually,
yeah.
they do, but not, well, they do. I don't know if it's in use though. No, I think it is because I think you can only use it if you're disabled and you have to get upstairs.
Yeah. 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 We didn't have any of that. Just have to
Yeah.
we had to lug all of our like 35 millimeter prints up and down the stairs.
Oh, geez. That's crazy. Get a
Yeah.
workout.
Yeah. I mean digital
Um,
was lighter, but
but yeah, I also wanted to add in there that Bram Stoker's Dracula was the first to do 5.1, and
oh yes.
they had
And
to,
that's audio
yes, an
for
audio.
those listening.
Yeah, 5.1 audio. Um, and you had, if you didn't see it in a theater that had 5.1, you didn't get the full experience. And I, to this day, I say this all the time, that is one of the most spectacular 5.1 experiences. If you have like true 5.1 in your house, like with all the different speakers, it is amazing to watch that film in 5.1 because he did it beautifully. And I believe it won an Academy Award for that, for best sound, because it was amazing.
That.
We will do that
And
movie, I
5.1
swear.
is a surround sound situation. Just for those of you who aren't familiar,
Oh, yes.
it's 3 points of sound in the front, like John had said earlier, with like a speaker in the middle and then one on each side, and then two behind you on the left and the right.
Yes.
Not next to you, but behind you, so that you can like it's 5 points of audio for like the 1 point in the center.
Well, 5.1, the 0.1 would be the subwoofer.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. So you get the full experience, like, the ground is rattling or whatever. Like it's very cool.
Yeah.
I think one of the other ones that I thought was impressive in 5.1 was Kill Bill Volume 1 was wonderful in 5.1. Very, very cool. Like the bee or the fly or whatever it was that was circling the room before it
Yeah.
landed on her. Like that was very fucking cool. And when she's buried alive, the sound like of the dirt coming across the coffin, it's very cool. Very, very well done. Anyway, so moving right along. Oh, did you have any final thoughts on Phantom? before we move to the next one?
No, it was all right.
I like it a lot. I think it's very,
Yeah.
very fun.
So, and I would say that I didn't choose this movie, but I thought a movie that would have paired nicely that I did not pick because I was trying to stick true to my theme of like teenish college slashers from like the late 90s, early aughts. So Misery, I thought would have been a really nice pairing.
Yeah, that probably would have worked.
Yeah. But instead we have Valentine 2001.
Instead, in replace of, we now have this. So we have Valentine. So
yeah, tell me how much you loved this movie.
I can't because I didn't.
Because it's overwhelming.
Because and you know, it's, oh gosh, there's so many things here. So first of all, I was kind of like, I almost wanted to text and ask for clarification if it was supposed to be My Bloody Valentine, because I know that that's a movie. I don't think that I've seen it. Is that the one where they're like in a coal mine shaft or something?
Yes, that's the one with the miners.
Oh, okay, then I have seen that one.
Did you see the newer one, like My Bloody Valentine in 3D? Speaking of like how people get
actually, maybe that was the one I saw.
My Bloody Valentine, I want to say, was the first horror movie in 3D.
What year was that? Because I might have seen
the theater at the time.
I might have seen the 3D one, not in 3D, but I think I saw the 3D one, like at home.
2009.
Was the original?
No. Oh no, not the original. That's the 3D one.
Oh.
The original was 1981.
No, then I definitely saw the 3D one. Yeah, I saw it because it had people I knew in it. I was like, oh, this is cute. So I have seen that. But not the point. So I wanted to clarify, but then when I Googled or IMDb Valentine, I found out that it was actually a movie just called Valentine. And I was like, oh, great.
I kept for whatever reason when I was looking for it, because I own it on DVD.
Oh my God.
But I was not home at the time when I watched these two movies, and I had rented it on YouTube, and I kept typing Valentine 2021 instead of 2001. And I was like, why can't I find this movie? And I really struggled for a good like 15 minutes wondering like where the movie had gone and if I needed to go back home and like find my DVD. And how is John going to be able to watch it? How did people forget about Valentine 2001?
I kind of was hoping that I didn't have to watch it, but then I did. So so what is this movie about, Ashley?
I told you, John, it's about a man who can't take rejection and is criticized about his looks. He murders people to get closer to someone he actually he thinks he loves, and to isolate her from all the people who say bad things about him.
Yeah. So.
And also he has nosebleeds.
Yeah, he does. So the movie opens with a Valentine's dance
with Katherine Heigl.
Wait a minute. No, the Valentine's dance happens before the credits.
Oh, apologies. My bad. Go ahead.
Wow, ma'am.
To the junior high. The junior high
Valentine's dance, which is, very reminiscent of what it was like to go to a dance in middle school. So
yeah,
he gets rejected by all the girls, like, oh, I don't want to dance with you. Ew. Ew. And then he asks the and I want to say this politely. How do you say it politely? He
What they
asks
said, they called
the,
her big boned.
yeah, he asked the big bone girl if she would dance, and she's like, I guess. And then they end up making out under the bleachers, which I was like, that's a very odd cut too. Like, that's where you went.
Well, they just wanted to know they really hit it off.
Yeah. So, and then, all the stupid jock people like find him and like, oh, I can't believe it. Ew. And she basically said that he attacked her, which was stupid because that wasn't an attacking situation. It's not
Well,
like they were,
the the
it
bullies
was
were
just
just kind of
kissing.
like,
It was so stupid.
well, the bullies were like, oh, I can't believe you would what they kept calling her like Rhino or something. They're like, oh, I can't believe like so and so. Well, the girl's name is Dorothy. Can't believe Dorothy would stoop so low as to like kiss this guy. Like, why would you do that? And she was like, wasn't. And they were like,
He
oh, well, did he
attacked
attack you?
me.
And she was like, yeah, he attacked me. And it was kind of to deflect off of herself. And so they were like, oh, Jeremy whatever is attacked, what's her name, Dorothy. And so they went down, and it was really just an excuse to like bully the kid more, and
It
so they
was
went under the
absolutely
bleachers, took him
insane.
out, and like
They,
ripped off his clothes in the middle of the dance floor. Where are the
they,
chaperones?
okay. Don't even get me started, because first of all, they dumped a big old thing of what's punch on him. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah,
that was first.
did that.
Then they start ripping his clothes off, which I thought, this is very strange, because who immediately goes to ripping his clothes off? It was very
It was
odd.
the 80s, John.
Oh my God, give me a break. Nobody ripped my clothes off. Well, not the same, not at a dance. Um, anyway, not the point. But I just real quick, and I know this is a very strange detail, but I did love his underwear. I was like, oh, I really like those. Like, I would absolutely wear those. They were
I can
very
see
cute.
those
Yeah,
look
they
like
were.
your underwear.
They
Yeah,
do. Yeah, they
like your
look like
style of underwear. Yeah.
absolutely. They're blue with white trim. Very nice.
Mhm.
So anyway, so they do that and they beat him up, and it's just stupid and horrible. But I was thinking that the whole time. I was like, it 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 would, the group of guys going over to the bleachers would have been enough for a chaperone or an adult to come over. Do you know what I mean? Like, that alone, like, what are all these guys doing? This doesn't look good. Like, they should be out here dancing with the girls that they brought to the dance. So that would have been the first thing. Second of all, then they dump a punch bowl on him. So it's like, okay, where's the adult now? Then they rip his clothes off again. Where's the adult? Then they bring him out into the dance and start beating him. And again, where's the adult? And not one moment in this scene did an adult even attempt to come into the situation. We never saw an adult in that entire situation. I don't even think the
Not
DJ
once.
was an adult. They didn't show the DJ.
The adults were probably like in, one of the counselor places, making out, boning down, while, some kid is drowning in a lake, like in a Friday the 13th.
Yeah, well, it's absolutely repulsive, and I hate it. Anyway, so then it goes to the opening credits, I think. Oh yeah, and it's like, yearbook pictures with I hate Dorothy and I hate so and so and I hate this and that.
Yeah, it's like his yearbook.
Yeah, with all his writing on it. They show the creepy doll mask thing, which somebody was wearing at the dance, by the way. I thought that was very strange. It was very standout. It was like, who wears a creepy mask to a Valentine's dance? I don't think that ever happened in real life, but they had to put it in the movie. Then we cut to Katherine Heigl.
It was very reminiscent of another movie we watched for Terror Tuesday, Happy Death Day, the baby mask.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like,
you're right.
why do you have, why? I mean, like, in Happy Death Day, I just kind of like lean into it after a bit. I'm like, all right, you guys can be the something babies.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Not sure what it was supposed to be, but it whatever. This, I guess, was supposed to be a
like
Cupid.
Cupid. Yeah,
but
it's like it's a cherub.
whatever. It's stupid as fuck. So, oh, my first note, by the way, was where were the teachers? My second note is about this whole opening with Katherine Heigl on a very bad date with this ridiculous guy that refers to himself in the third person. Absolutely bonkers, this whole situation. And he had like a piece of spinach stuck to his tooth, which was so obvious that he was, as an actor, trying to keep it on his tooth while he was talking.
Yes.
And it was like, yeah, this is just bad. I mean, the acting is already bad and we haven't even started. And then she wrote help me in her food. Like, I'm like, is this a comedy? What is happening right now? This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And I hated it. And then, I don't know, it was just dumb. And then she leaves there to go and badly park. I wrote that down. She parked terribly. Like, it's like, girl, there are lines. This is a movie. We know you're driving just for this scene. You probably don't even know how to actually drive, but you could have at least learned how to park in the spot correctly, because she was taking up part of the other spot when she was done. And I was like, you're one of those cunts that is ruining things for people that need to park on the street when you're in Ybor or whatnot. It's like annoying. It's like, you're taking up two spots. I can't park here. You ruined my life. Thanks. Now I have to go pay for parking. Anyway, I don't like it. So then she leaves the date to go and, I don't know, study on a cadaver in the dark cadaver room.
Yeah,
I mean, none of this made any
lighting
sense
for her studies. Like, I imagine if you were working on a cadaver, the
there's
lighting matters.
so much wrong with
like
this.
a
It's not
lot.
even funny. There's so much
But-
wrong with this.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
the first thing
Go
that's
ahead.
wrong with this, is that this is just not something that she would do in the middle of the night. It doesn't make any sense. And
Mhm.
it also doesn't make sense that, like, why are you alone? I feel like a cadaver situation in a school, even if you're practicing or something, you would want to have a classroom full of people, because it's not like you have endless dead bodies waiting around for these, I don't know, whatever she was studying. Like, I'm going to learn how to
owned that dead body.
Oh, give me a break.
Maybe
This
she
is, I mean,
owned
do you
it.
buy dead bodies
That one.
in college? I
I don't know. I've never had rich parents.
it's just absolutely insane. So she's alone. She's, in the stupid darkened room, which doesn't make any sense. You would turn all the fucking lights on. It doesn't make any sense. She's alone. It's stupid. Then there's like a kerfuffle, and she's like, oh my God. And of course, it automatically goes to, oh, it's spooky. And she has to arm herself to walk down the hallway. And it's like, okay, none of this makes sense, because it's kind of like an urban legend when she goes into that library at night and then she's like, oh my God, what was that? Is somebody here? Well, you're in the library in the middle of the night too, girl. It's not like you're the only person ever. And oh gosh, the other person has to be a killer. It's like, no, it's probably somebody else studying, you idiot. Like, and then in this situation, it's like, again, you walked into this room in the middle of the night, so clearly it's open for students at any time of the day to work on cadavers. So why is it a surprise that somebody else could be in the building? Do you know what I mean? Like, why are you arming yourself and going in room to room looking for somebody? Like, which you wouldn't even do. If I heard a weird noise, I'd be like, well, I have to get the studying done. So let me just go ahead and cut this body up real quick. And then, I don't know, if somebody comes in here, I'll fight them or whatever. Why would you go looking for it, you idiot? So she goes looking for it. She stumbles across some, I don't know, nerdy guy that is pointless because he has nothing to do with the movie. And which, I mean, I was trying to remember faces, but it doesn't matter because he's never going to show up again. He wasn't the killer. So
He was.
No, he
I mean,
wasn't.
not that guy, not that nerdy guy that she ran into.
No, not the nerdy guy she ran into. Girl, there's so many problems with this movie. So
Oh,
anyway,
yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to get
the
into
list of
it.
problems. So she gets a Valentine. It's stupid. Like they're gonna, what is that the one where he says they're gonna need
All right,
dental
so
records?
pause. No, that's not the dental. Wait, no,
Is it?
that's not the dental record one. But I loved the Valentines.
I actually, that's the
were-
only part of the movie I liked. I liked the actual Valentines that they receive are fantastic. I love the
and the
artwork. I
amount of
love
like
the
work. Yeah.
interactive, like you have to pull the tab to get the thing to show
and
you
it
the
kind of like
knife.
cuts the girl's
Yeah,
throat.
absolutely wonderful. I
Yeah.
agree. That was actually lovely. Anyway, then she realizes, oh, I got a creepy Valentine. I'm gonna shove it in my locker. And oh, by the way, she's in a locker room. Weird. It is labeled locker room. I don't know. It was just stupid. Why is there a locker room in a cadaver area? Whatever. So
Because it's still a school, John.
yeah, I don't get it. It's not like it was a gym. So she goes back into her creepy room to work on her cadaver. And oh, switcheroo, the cadaver's actually the killer. And the cadaver that she was working on before is in the closet. Well, it was just all dumb. Then the cadaver's missing because, you know, he disappeared from the table, probably to go put clothes on because he's naked. Like, so, and also, there's so many. Obviously, this is the nerd from middle school.
Right.
Like, that's the first thing that I would like to point out is that was so obvious. It was like, okay, well, that's obvious. It's going to be the nerd from middle school. Cool. Right. Great. Get it. He's killing all these girls because they rejected him at the dance, which is stupid. Why did you wait this long? Why didn't you kill them next week? I don't understand why it took 10 years or whatever.
He says it at the end of the movie. It's like, yeah, he said sometimes you put on a happy face and you stuff it deep down, but like it eats away at you and, you know, until it explodes.
Oh God, whatever.
And you just have to get it out.
I guess that is how I also deal with my anger. So I can't really blame him. But anyway, so she runs, she hides. I feel like, does she get slashed a little bit?
I want to say a little bit, and she hides in a body bag. And
yeah,
I did think that this scene, it was like a solid scene for like tension building, because the killer the killer looks at all the bodies in body bags and it's
he doesn't look at all of them. He gets bored pretty quick. And I would also like to point out that
it's like
the first two that he reveals, I'm not joking. I feel like you should go back and watch it. I'm pretty sure it's the same exact dead body. I'm pretty sure it was the exact same body. I was like, that's the exact same person that was in the other bag. Like, what? And then he decides not to unzip all the bag. He just starts stabbing them.
I loved that. That was great. Like, he's like, if she's in one of these bags, I'm gonna find out real fucking quick and also stab her. And so he just stabs all the fucking bags, and I really really dug that, because that's like, ooh.
In any other movie, I guess it would work, but it just wasn't working for me. Then of course
he unzips her bag. Yeah,
of course, because you have to see Katherine Heigl's face before she gets killed. He slits her throat and it's over. Does she offer him money?
Oh, I don't remember.
I
do not remember.
Does plead for her life of some sort, like, I'll give you money or something. Or my parents have money, or I don't know. I was glad Katherine Heigl was killed, because I don't really care for her.
Oh, she was like all over during this time.
Yeah, I just didn't care for her.
Another movie I almost picked for either this one or the one we have next week, also had her in it. I was like, Katherine Heigl, get out of here. She
Yeah,
was like on the up and
please.
up at this time. And I'm pretty sure because this is 2001. So this is 5 years after Scream, and everyone like horror after Scream was trying to do what Scream did because Scream brought horror back,
Yeah, it
you
didn't
know?
work.
Yeah. And Scream, has like like Scream advertised. We've talked about this in our Scream episode. They advertised Drew Barrymore as in all the marketing. Drew Barrymore is in it, so you expect Drew Barrymore to be the final girl, but she's the first kill.
Mhm.
And so
Which I will
Valentine,
say, I mean, we've talked about that. I think that was a good idea. And I think that it's a very good idea in
right?
general to do something like that because it does kind of make you, in fact, I think they should go further. And this is just me, like putting this out there in the universe. I'd go even further with it. I would have trailers that are, and I've said this before in general, I think that they should have trailers that aren't part of the movie. They should have
Paranormal
trailers.
Activity did that.
Oh, okay. Where it's
Every
like
movie yeah.
a completely a
Mhm.
scene that you're never going to see in the movie, but you can hype up your character. Well, it's similar to Full Metal Jacket, but not exactly. But that was only because of a situation. But they only show parts of Vietnam. So when you actually went to the theater and you saw the boot camp scenes that took up half the movie mostly, it's like,
Yeah.
oh shit, I didn't know this is what I was going for, but it worked because you know what I mean? It was very well done. And I think they should do more stuff like that. And I think in those situations, give the audience more of that person so that you are thinking it is a movie about them. And then you don't get any of that and they get killed. But I just ruined it if they ever do that. Sorry, guys. But then, of course, there's like people that don't watch trailers. So you would never know.
Are you talking about me?
I mean, and others. But anyway, not the point. So Catherine dies. Was that like supposed to be a big deal that she died at the beginning?
When the movie opened, because it's been a long time since I've seen this movie. This is something that I had watched a couple of times in my youth. And because it was like an accessible horror film. Um, and when it opened with Katherine Heigl, I was like, oh damn, did I forget that Katherine Heigl was in this movie? And then she died, and I was like, oh yeah, that's why.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I would imagine that they wanted it to be a big deal, you know.
Yeah.
But I guess Katherine Heigl has also gone on record being like rejecting the film entirely, saying she only read her scene and, and that the movie is like trash.
It is.
Which hilarious.
Then we meet other characters. Wait a minute. No, I can't remember how this works.
I mean, it doesn't matter much.
It
We
doesn't
do
really
end up
matter
meeting, we
how.
meet the other characters whose names
Oh, I
this
have a note about
movie
the
kept
names.
repeating their names.
I hated all their names. I thought they had the dumbest names. I was like, what? And there were too many blondes. That's actually a note I have on here. Too many blondes. I was like, I don't understand why everybody has to be blonde. I honestly confused two of the actors because when I looked up the
Was it
cast on
Lily and Kate?
IMDb, huh?
Lily and Kate. Lily
Lily,
being the one that was in Legally Blonde, and Kate being the one that was in Scream 4. She was in a couple of other things that I'm trying to
are those the two main
remember.
ones? I can't remember. Oh, Dorothy was the big bone
Oh,
girl.
the other blonde. Yeah.
Denise Richards. We should mention Denise Richards is in this movie. It's not really important, but she's in there.
Denise Richards was the only person who I liked in the movie I found watching it this go. And I was like, probably because she was, I don't know, like Denise Richards was just acting like Denise Richards.
Yeah.
You know?
She really only does that one thing. And that's about it. I'm no offense to her if she's listening, but
Where she's a strong, independent woman who knows that she's hot and gets hit on all the time.
I don't know. I just don't. There's something about her that bothers me. I don't know. I don't like it.
Is it
I
that
mean,
deep
and I did
stare?
have a conflicting feeling about that because I was like, why is she constantly turned up? Do you know what I mean? Like she's constantly turned up. Like she's always on. She's always going for the sexual innuendo. She's always going for it. And as much as I don't like it, it was conflicting because I was like, well, but why should she not? If she
Right.
can and she wants to, why can't she be that way? You know what I mean? It's like one of those things that you like they were asking for it. Well, no, but she I don't know. I'm
No,
digging a hole
no,
and I don't know how to get out
no,
of
no,
it.
no, 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 no. Here. Let me dive in. She in this film in particular, and throughout her career, but in Valentine, she is constantly getting hit on by all these people, and she's polite, but also she doesn't lose herself, like her own like dignity in this, like the cop that pulls her
True.
back and she's like, oh, are you gonna interrogate me? Like she kind of like flirts back like a little bit, but then when he's like, what are we gonna do about this sexual tension, which gross, and she was like, okay, goodbye now. you know
Yeah.
and she just kind of like drops people. She doesn't play into it if she doesn't have to. Even God, later on, it's just a compilation of like gross men.
Oh, it is.
The one
This
guy
movie
that
is
she was
full of
interested
gross
in,
men.
the one guy she was interested in, like at blind dating. That's the next scene that
Oh,
we go into,
yeah. And I was
the
gonna
speed
mention
dating.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. But she meets him in a speed dating thing. She is interested in him. And yeah, and later on, he's like, "Oh, I have a surprise for you," and like he brings her upstairs, and he takes off his pants, and she's like, "You brought me upstairs to show me the surprise is your penis," and I truly loved that. And then like
I
he's like,
actually
"Okie
have that.
dokie," and then
I
pours
have
wax
that.
all over him and
Yeah.
leaves.
I have that in my notes. I have it in my
Yeah,
notes because that was possibly one of the best parts of the movie.
yeah, you kind of
Because I
like
was like your penis is a surprise, and it was so funny too because I kept thinking like, okay, does he have like a really big penis? Does he have a really small penis? Like what? But it didn't even
no, it's just
matter. The
every straight
size was
dude just thinks his
irrelevant.
penis is
It
magic.
was the fact that she just pointed it out so bluntly. I think it was lovely. Like the surprise is your penis. Like, and but also and this is part of my weird conflicting feeling with her and her characters, like what did she think the surprise was? Because because if it wasn't his penis, because I mean to me I automatically assumed, oh, he's going to pull out his penis, that's a surprise.
Right.
Like I, so in her
I also
brain,
think
if she was under the impression that the surprise had nothing to do with the penis, then what did she think the surprise was going to be? I honestly want to
maybe
know.
she just wanted to actually be surprised.
By what? By what?
But who knows? It's a surprise, John. It's a
Like,
surprise. And
is
I
he
think
one of
that
those
she may
men?
have
Did she
known.
think that he was one of those men that did like the art with his penis, like made it into a sailing ship by pulling his balls weird, like
Is
they
that
had
a
on
thing? I
Real
need to see
Sex?
it.
Yeah, it's on Real Sex. Do they still have Real Sex on
Oh,
HBO?
oh, I don't know.
You should
I'll
look,
look into it.
because that was an episode, I believe, was like men that shape their penis into, it's like penis puppetry, I think it's called. And they make a
Stretch
schooner
and
or a
twist and
or a bird or something. I don't know. I'm sure if you have foreskin, it can
like
get even
shadow
more
puppets.
exciting. Like
Oh,
they make it look like things. Maybe that's
huh.
what she thought he was going to do, like
Well,
penis
no,
puppetry.
I think that she knew that there was a possibility that this was going to be fucking dumb, because all the history from what we've seen is men being fucking dumb with her, you
Mhm.
know, and her entertaining them until it's just like, ugh, you know. And I think she just like, and I think that's like sometimes I'm like, oh, why are you entertaining these people? Because it's like gross. And then I'm like, never mind, because she's like,
Well,
Yeah.
also, he said, while his penis is on display for her, and she points out her disappointment of the surprise of his penis,
Mhm.
he does say, what does he say to her? Like, are you going to wax it or not? Does he say wax?
Yeah, well, he was like, well, like after she said the surprise is his penis, he was like, yeah, well. And she was like, well, what? And he was like, we're gonna wax it or not. And so
I have
she was
never
like, okie
heard
doke,
that.
yeah.
Never heard that
No.
term. And of course, it plays into what happens next as she ties him up and she asks if he still wants his penis wax. And I knew exactly where this was going. She dumped hot wax all over his penis because, of course, there's a bunch of candles lit. I don't know why they were, but it seems dangerous to leave a room.
Because it's Valentine's Day.
Yeah, but the room was supposed to be unoccupied. Why was there lit candles everywhere?
Maybe he lit the candles before bringing her up for the
That
surprise.
was the surprise.
Yeah.
Surprise! I came up here and lit all these candles before we got
like,
here.
Look at all these candles. And
Now look
at
my candlestick. I mean, was it hard? Was it not hard? I just don't understand. I need more information about his penis.
John, let me tell you something. These type of fellows, really, it's nothing. They just think their penis is special.
Yeah,
every last one of them thinks there's something special about their penis, and it's really just a penis.
So going back to the speed dating, the music was horrifying. I don't know where that music came from. It was the worst music I've ever heard in my life. I was like, what in the hell is going on with this music? And it was just the I don't know, incidental music that they used for this. It was just dumb. It was horrible. I don't know what the hell that was. Then, I wrote a note about, because I watched this on Tubi and it had commercials. And one of the first commercials was for Botox. And I was like, do you think that they like know what movie I'm watching? And they're like, this person probably thinks they should be pretty and they want to look like Denise Richards. Let's put a Botox ad in here because I feel like they might need it. They might want that
David
Botox.
Boreanaz.
Does he do Botox now? He probably does.
No, but they like in the film they mention like when they're all the Valentines are signed JM, which is like Jeremy Melton, who's the name of the kid of that was like
the nerdy kid. Which God, there's so many problems with this movie. The nerdy kid. Like, why do we keep going after the nerdy kids? And first of all, they're always hot. They're always hot. Hot nerds. I mean, I don't understand it. Why did they never get busy with people? Because they're hot and they're smart. And why would you not want to be with a nerd? Anyway, whatever. Ugh, I can't stand it.
So Dorothy accuses
nerd.
What's her name? Kate.
I'm sorry.
The amount of times everybody says these fucking names was
stupid.
Like out of
they
control.
Have the worst names and they kept saying them.
Page, Kate, Lily. I think we hear Lily the least, but Dorothy. So Dorothy comes at Kate because they're stressed and trying to sort out the killer, and if it is Jeremy Melton or if it's just some random dude, but the women have sorted that it simply must be that kid from middle school.
Which is so stupid that they would even.
Yeah.
I mean,
the kid they all rejected and who attacked Dorothy. And then Dorothy admits that she wasn't attacked. But Dorothy looks at Kate, who has a relationship with, is it Adam or Andrew? Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Adam. Adam is David Boreanaz.
Oh, is that his name?
David Boreanaz, the guy who was in Angel and Bones.
No, I know who he is. I can't believe he was in this. Because I actually
hot off of Angel
like
too.
Him. I think he was still doing Angel.
Yeah, because they did do a little comment like he's no angel. That made me think that he either just finished Angel or Angel was still rolling. Yeah, so
it was his
she
summer break.
says to Kate that that she that like it could be Adam, like with a little plastic surgery and some working out. Why couldn't it be Adam? With a little plastic surgery and working out, that kid from middle school could be as hot as David
No,
Boreanaz.
he was hot to begin with. You guys are just assholes.
Well, it's all he also had like a different like skull shape.
Okay, we're gonna get into this, and okay. Spoilers. I'm spoiling it now.
They just brought up plastic surgery a lot in the film. That he could be anyone with plastic surgery. Plastic surgery is not this good.
No.
Like,
Well,
especially not then. It wasn't this seamless.
Do you know what else is not good?
Mm-hmm.
Is picking a very specific body type to be your killer throughout the whole fucking movie, and it not be the body type of the person that actually killed everybody. It makes no sense.
That it was like that's why it was frumpy clothing.
But
like
it wasn't. He was on.
The killer was wearing was like thick.
He played a dead cadaver. We saw his tiny little body under that sheet. Like, that's not the same.
David Boreanaz isn't tiny.
I honestly think, though, that I might be confusing two movies that I saw back to back. Because I watched.
What other movie did you see?
What did I watch? There's someone in this house, or there's someone in your house, or there's a man in your house. There's some holes in this house.
The calls coming from inside the house.
No, it's a new Netflix movie. It's like a little horror movie. I actually thought we could probably do it for the podcast, but then I saw the whole thing.
That doesn't stop me, John.
No, that's true. I did kind of like it somewhat.
There's someone inside your house.
There's someone inside your house. Yeah. And in that one, I feel like it kind of did the same thing where it was like the body type of that person. And you wonder if maybe they're misleading people on purpose. Yeah. But at the same time, it just doesn't make sense. You can't do that. You just can't do that. You can't have a one body type going around murdering people and then, oh, it's David Boreanaz with those big ass shoulders. Give me a break. It was not him. So, and like I said, spoiler, it was David Boreanaz the whole time, which I honestly thought was stupid. I don't think it should have been him. Like, if I had written this movie, I would have done it differently. It would not have been him. In fact, I think it would have been Dorothy, which they tried to kind of make you think up until the last second that it was probably Dorothy. But no, it's David Boreanaz and his nose started bleeding on her face.
Also, yeah, that final scene, love it, because I love how like awful it is. Her face has his blood on it. They're like holding each other and she's got blood running down her face, and it's the blood from his nose. Also, it could have very well been Dorothy. I don't think the movie wants us to believe that it was Dorothy, and that's why they gave us the whole nosebleed thing. But even so, like, you could have written the script as that is Jeremy Melton, and he's trying to leave that past behind him, and he did get plastic surgery and like whatever, or he did beef up, and he doesn't even necessarily need to have had plastic surgery, but they don't recognize him because he did beef up and he has like changed a lot, and he really wanted them to accept this person that he is instead of the person that like he himself rejects because he was rejected so often, and use that as a red herring that he's the one killing them, but really he just just found a way to get people to like him in this new body, and it still could have been Dorothy, who was constantly teased for years by her friends. Even though she was loved, she was kind of like she felt like the bottom rung of the ladder.
Yeah, whatever. She also wasn't that big boned, as they say.
No, but
like, it was not at all.
When was the dance? 1988.
Yeah, but still, she still wasn't that. That was. I would never have labeled her as a fat person. Never.
Well, they wrote a script, John, and then they put people in the roles, and then I'm like, big enough.
Rude.
Yeah, or not as thin as the other, whatever.
Yeah, not the ridiculous stick figures that are walking around with their bones rattling. That's a Daria reference, by the way. Yeah, so good. hold on, let me find my notes here. I can't read that. Botox. Oh, they all have weird names. That was my next note. Don't like it. Oh, yeah. So the one girl, maybe it was Lily. I don't know their names. She fully wrapped herself up in a towel before she got out of the shower. And again, this happens way too often in movies. I can't stand this shit. You would never have done that. That doesn't make
First of
any
all,
sense.
I do that. Well, I do that in those big square showers, the glass showers. Like I'll wrap myself up before getting out because I'm like wet all over, and I'll dry off while I'm still in the tub so that I'm not like tracking water throughout my my home.
Well, I mean, I
But
will. Okay.
but
So
in like a tub, I dry off as I'm getting out. So like I'll dry off like a leg and then step out and then dry off the other. For
yeah,
example.
I mean, maybe I'm just very different, but there's no way I would cover my entire nudity with a towel. I don't even give a shit, especially if it's my house. Like, who cares? I'll walk into the room naked so I can put some underwear on. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me that anybody would do that.
I mean, I take my towel off before I leave the bathroom and then I
It's like
walk to
watching
my
people in
room
movies
and
that,
get
like,
dressed.
let's say, like
But
in this scenario, she puts on this towel. Like, I'm just saying, like, if it went further, and this was a movie, which happens a lot in
Go
movies,
ahead.
like you'll put the towel on, you'll be completely covered, and then you'll put your underwear on underneath the towel before you take it. I mean, and they do this kind
Yeah,
of
that
stuff in
does.
movies
Yeah.
all the time where it's like, nobody does that. Even if you're in front of your significant other, what it just they've seen you naked before. Like, you probably just boned down earlier. Like, who cares if they see your nudity? Oh my God, I can't stand it. It's like in Mommy Dearest. Mommy Dearest was very similar, where the guy like completely puts on a robe to walk 2 feet to the shower to get in there with her. And I was like, why would you even put the robe on? It makes no sense. Like, you got naked in that room, you put a robe on, you walk 2 feet to the shower and take off the robe to get in there. It's like you
For
literally put
decency,
that robe
John.
on for no reason. I hate it. I think it's stupid. Just walk around naked, for God's sakes. Not that we need to see any more naked ladies. The men should all be naked.
Here, here.
Here, here. Here is some wiener. So, um, the toilet. Then she was because she ran out of water or something because there's something wrong with her water, which I thought would be more of a story, but it wasn't. It was just stupid. And she basically uses the toilet to rinse out her hair. And I was like, okay. I mean, that's where we went with this. And it really didn't make any difference to the scene whatsoever. It didn't have any impact on the story. You just rinsed your
It's
hair.
just a
Like,
thing that people did.
none of that went anywhere,
Have you
though.
not done that?
No, I'm just saying it literally made no difference if we saw that or not. Like, I thought, oh, there's always something wrong with the water. So that's going to come into play later when she's trying to get away from a killer and has to, I don't know, turn water on to spray him or something. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, why
It was a
give
waste
us,
of your time.
it's a waste of time. It's like, that was in the script. Like, did they read that? Did anybody question it? Like, why is this even in here? Why am I sticking my head in a toilet? Like,
There's also
like, what's
the
this supposed to be
possibility,
a comedy is another question. Because, like I said, help me on the plate.
like a horror
Like,
comedy
is
sometimes.
this a
Yeah.
comedy? It should have
I
just
think
been a
it
comedy.
I think it was supposed to, again, because Scream was comedic and still a horror and a slasher. I think that they were much like Urban Legends. Urban Legends was also like going after the Scream model, you know, and
Yeah,
trying
but
to
that
be
wasn't funny at
funny
all.
with horror. No, because their jokes were just mean.
It's also
They were
like,
just
maybe
mean.
like, it's funny that this got made into a movie. That's funny.
Okay.
that they went through
No,
the entire production and editing without saying, why are we doing this? Like, why keep this footage in here of her washing her hair in the toilet?
Well, I
none of
also
it.
wonder if the original script had like, if they had like shot something that was related to that, cutting that bit out and leaving in the other thing. And it was just kind of like dangly. I mean, that happens a lot. I'm not trying
Yeah.
to necessarily defend the film.
Don't defend it. Please
I know
don't.
what I picked.
No. So after the toilet remark, I wrote Too Many Blondes, which we already discussed.
Mhm.
Then I wrote down The Detective, and I cannot remember why I wrote that down.
Was
Can't
it
remember.
him keeping Denise Richards for questioning?
No, because that happened after. No, it didn't. Did it? I can't remember.
He was
There's
really
something.
creepy and scummy, like where you
Yeah.
thought that maybe he could have
Maybe
been the
that's
killer.
why I wrote down The Detective, because I was like, it could be this guy. It could be this guy. I mean, I guess, but in my, like I said, I think for the most part, I knew it was going to be David Boreanaz because that was the most obvious
Yeah.
of all of them doing it. I was like, well, it's probably him, but it would be cool if it was Dorothy. Like, that would have been cool if it had been her. But then I thought if it was the detective, it really wouldn't make much sense, because what does he have to do with any of these people unless he was the surgically altered dude? I don't know. Because apparently that's how you do it. Then let's get to the fucking ridiculous money laundering dude, or whatever that guy was. Dorothy,
Oh, yeah, Dorothy's boyfriend.
she projected a relationship on this man that was like, she called him her boyfriend without even knowing what his last name was. I was like, this is absolutely bizarre. And I felt kind of bad for her, because I was like, she needs therapy really bad.
Well, we kind of get the impression that she is trying to constantly competing with her friends and trying to be in the same position, and she doesn't necessarily feel desirable or whatever. And we kind of get that almost bluntly from the script. It doesn't seem very like
It's not
whatever,
subtle.
like they're always teasing Dorothy, and Dorothy's always bringing it up even though they're adults now and they no longer tease her. She just keeps bringing it up because that's like some type of trauma that she has held on to and continues to project. Like it's like she's constantly trying to compete with her friends.
Yeah.
And so the moment this fellow displays like interest in her, and she's like, yeah, he's my boyfriend, so deal with that. Like, even though she's like kind of like trying to put pressure on when it doesn't necessarily need to be. But yeah, the dude was also playing into it because he wanted her money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was a nasty, I put lazy mooching fuck face.
Yeah.
Was what I wrote, because I mean, we find out pretty quickly that he is trying to steal her money. In fact, the woman that he stole money from previously shows up and says, hey, where's my money? And
That's
he
my
stole my
necklace.
money. That's my jewelry. What? And like she's still defending him, which I was like, girl, don't. It's just not a good look. Don't defend
Well,
this disgusting freak. And
she
then you
doesn't
don't
want
even
people
know
to
his
know that
last
she's been
name.
duped again. She
Yeah,
didn't like it,
well,
to be so unlucky in love. She
oh
didn't
my
like,
God.
that's got to be hard for her to deal with in front of her hot friends who always have
Well,
guys.
first of all,
There's
she
the
is an
popular
attractive
one.
lady, so she needs to just shut the hell up. She's also Kate Capshaw's daughter, just so we
I don't know
know.
who that is.
Kate Capshaw is Steven Spielberg's one of his ex-wives.
Oh, okay.
Kate Capshaw is Temple of Doom. That's Kate Capshaw.
Oh, okay. So Jessica Capshaw, Kate Capshaw.
Yeah.
Weird.
So Steven Spielberg was her stepfather for a time.
Steven Spielberg has like fatherly touches all over the place.
Yeah. Anyway, so none of that's important. Certainly doesn't help the acting or the plot.
Well, not much of the film does either.
No. So anyway, no, this guy, so he's a piece of trash, and he at one point he's like yelling to have funds transferred over the phone. I don't know, he's like yelling because he wants his money. Give me my money. And then the Dorothy calls him on the intercom because there's no hot water upstairs, and could you please go down to the basement and relight the hot water heater, which this is like a mansion. Like, what? Is that even like a thing that they have like one little hot water boiler heater thing in the basement? Like,
Maybe
it's
it's
the
a large
size
boiler,
that,
like in the Overlook Hotel.
hello, did you see it? They showed it. It's a regular hot water heater. It's like the kind that is in my apartment right now, like in the closet right now. It's the same exact one. It's like, dude, that's not doing anything for that mansion. It should be a boiler situation like the Overlook Hotel that blew up. Like, that's what it should have been. Makes no sense unless there was like a row of them for different parts of the house, but there wasn't. There was just the one. Anyway, so and he was complaining about it the whole time. Like, you disgusting loaf of bread. Like, all you do is steal women's money and then get mad when they want you to do one thing. It's not even a big deal. Just go down there and do the fucking thing. And then he's so bad at it that he like he can't even put himself in the upright position to grab the matches off the top of the hot water thing. He has to like reach up while he's bent down and fumble and then knock them all down and then get mad about that. Like, dude, it's your fault because you're a fucking idiot. Oh my God, the whole thing was just stupid. And then I kept thinking, like, you know, there was one point where he was like bent down weird, and I was like, is he naked under his robe? Is he just exposing his wiener to the cold floor? Like, what's happening with I think there should have been more of that in the movie. Any movie that's bad like this should have penis in it. That's just the bottom line. Anyway, so he gets murdered with an axe. It's uneventful. But the thing that bothered me about this, and this is another reason that I still think it would have been cooler if she was the murderer, because like I kept thinking, did somebody disguise their voice to sound like her to go down there and do that? Because, you know, and then he never returns. Was it successfully lit? Is my next question. Did she ever get hot water? I guess it had to have been.
It had to have been because nobody like went down there to fix it.
To check it out, yeah.
Yeah.
But his body wasn't even there. The body was moved because it was in the sauna later. Remember when the girl was hiding in the sauna from the killer? And it was, anyway. Oh, Lord. So yeah, I don't like that guy. I didn't like the situation. He got axed. It could have been Dorothy, but it wasn't. Then what? Then there's a stupid party. And I don't know why there's always a goddamn party. There's always some damn party. So there's a party.
There has
big ass
to be.
Party. In fact, there's a party, and this is why I think I keep mixing up the two movies, because there's a big party in that other movie that I watched.
I mean, there was a big party in Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, but that was a masquerade, and at least he was dressed for the occasion. It was fine.
First of all, this guy's got a cherub mask. All right.
Oh my God. So, anyway, party, dumb, huge. Everybody's stupid in the party. And then so the lazy dude gets killed. Then the girl that he had stolen the money from gets murdered. Then Denise Richards gets killed in a hot tub. It was very stupid. What
was that?
I don't know. It was just pointless.
There's like a plastic plane over the top, and then they're drilling holes through it, nick her at some point, and then electrocute her. She's like, it was just. You think she's gonna drown? She gets electrocuted.
No, I just, I'm not.
And then she bursts out of it later, right? She's like, pfft.
No,
No, she never pours out of the jacuzzi. We
no,
don't see that.
no. We
Am
just
I
see
thinking of a different movie?
her face bobbing
I
later.
literally watched that scene this morning.
Well, and it's stupid because like the girl, again like urban legend. Like remember at the end of urban legend was like a Vincent Price movie where she's like coming across all the dead bodies piled up everywhere, and it's like
I mean, doesn't that happen in Scream?
happens everywhere. It's like there's
Yeah,
always
it's
piles of dead
always.
bodies to discover. It's just
But
the
could
most
you
ridiculous thing.
imagine how horrific? Imagine not only being chased by a killer and knowing your friends have died, but or suspicious rather, but knowing in your heart that your friends have died, but never actually finding like bodies or anything like that, and knowing that people are dying, like even previously before this party. And as you're going through, as you're running away from the killer, you're coming across your dear friend, best friends since middle school
Well,
at
yeah, and
very
that's
least, and they're dead. That's got to be rattling and has to be hysteric. That has got to be so friggin' frightening, but it's in every single horror movie ever.
well, it didn't really work in this one because I don't think she played it very well. And when she did find Denise Richards' body in the thing, like all creepy and gross, she just closed the door. Like, oh, I closed the door and I can't see her
What
now.
do you want her to do? She's got.
I don't know. It just seems
dead.
stupid. Let me close the door.
Like this girl's got to go.
Ugh. But the logic of the whole house and running through it didn't make sense either. Like at one point, like she found a gun, which, you know, she did check and see if it had bullets, and it did. And then she had to put them back in, and she's shaking and stuff. She did that pretty well. She was pretty good at the shake acting. That was good. Then but I kept thinking, like, is the gun, you like, don't you have to do something else, like take the safety off and do like a clicky clacky thing on it? So I don't know about guns, so I really don't care, but I'm saying
cock
like
it.
Yeah,
Are you asking, like to cock it to make sure there's a bullet in the chamber?
exactly. Like, don't you have to do something like that? Like she's just like
Yeah.
pointing this thing, and then I kept thinking like if you
wait, pause. Sometimes if you don't like unload a gun, like whenever you like unload a gun, there's still going to be a bullet in the chamber, so you need to take the bullet out. But
like they do in the movies.
yeah, there's still one in the chamber.
Like
that's
click,
like
click,
what that's
boop,
one of the
boop,
reasons
boop,
they're yes.
Disarm a
John
guy
did
in
the
2
hand
seconds.
motions. It was perfect.
I've seen a lot of movies where they disarm men. And it's always some awesome lady doing it. I love it.
But yeah, that's why there's like a lot of dangers with like, I mean, it's one of the reasons why there's a lot of dangers with people who are cleaning guns, and then they like it goes off because people can sometimes
stop her, my mom will
that
shoot.
there's a bullet in the chamber. Right.
And
Yeah.
stop her, my mom will shoot when she actually cleaned it with like cleaner, like she with a scrub brush. She got
Like,
oh my god, it was amazing. I love that. We should do that movie.
yeah. So she doesn't necessarily would not have necessarily needed to cock the gun if the gun had a bullet in the chamber. Just
okay. Well, anyway, she
there's my brief gun safety. I've shot them.
The gun whatever. Let's just get to the end of this. So she goes around the house and walks up some stairs because you go upstairs for no reason. I don't know. And then David's there and keeps chasing her, and it's just weird. And you're like, I don't know. Is he the killer? Is he not the killer? I don't know. And then you're like, well, is she going to shoot him? Because if she does shoot him, he's not the killer. Then that's an issue. I don't know. It was just stupid. Then the killer's coming down the stairs. Oh, no. She bumped into the quote unquote killer. They both fell down the stairs. They're at the bottom of the stairs. She comes to and she's like, oh shit, there's the killer. The killer bolts upright, like, oh my God, I'm alive. Doesn't say anything. And then all of a sudden is being shot, like boom, 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 shot, shot, shot. David Boreanaz is coming down the stairs. He shot the killer. Then they're like, oh my God, sad, sad, sad. And then she's like, I got to see who it is. So she takes the mask off and, oh, it's Dorothy. Oh, she's dead. And don't look at her. And then And then they embrace and they're waiting for the police to arrive. And that's when he has this whole spiel about, oh, it can be horrible. And then his nose bleeds on her face. And that's the end of the movie. So, oh, and his nose bleeds, by the way, through the mask every time he kills somebody. So we knew that it was the kid from the beginning.
That.
Yeah. So we knew it was the nerd.
I absolutely forgot about that.
Like we knew it was Jeremy Morton or whatever his name was. We knew whatever. We knew that it was him the whole time, but we just didn't know who you know what I mean? And was it Dorothy? Did he get a sex change? I mean, I don't know, maybe.
I mean, he could just present female.
I'm kidding. Oh, true. Maybe he does. Anyway, I'm just grasping at straws to make this more interesting than it is, but it isn't. And so that's the end of the movie. The credits roll, and I turned it off finally. Oh, I forgot. So several times, I had so many issues watching this movie because there was a part where it's after the party, before she thinks it might be David Boreanaz. I don't know. I can't remember exactly, but she goes outside for some reason. She's trying to call somebody. She finds the cell phone that she's trying to call ringing on a rock by a pond. And she goes to get a piece of paper out of the water, and it's the head of somebody. Well, and that's the thing. I didn't quite see what happened because I wasn't paying attention at that point. I was Googling something and I missed it. So I tried to rewind it to see who it was in the water. And there are so many issues. It aired out several times. I still couldn't see it. Jason had to pull it up in the living room so that we could try to watch the end of this damn movie. And he was excited I was watching it because he just loves it. He told me all kinds of things. I was like, oh my God, I hate this. And I was like, I just want to finish this damn movie so I can be done with it. And I just wanted to know who it was in the water. So it turns out it was the detective, but it didn't look anything like the detective. I mean, I guess we're just assuming that it's the detective because it didn't look like him. It was a very obvious fake head. And it just didn't make any sense.
She had the phone. There was an IOU as well. There was an IOU there, and the phone was ringing. It was the detective's phone, but it was weird because it was a phone ringing and then the detective's voicemail. So the phone was calling the detective and got his voicemail, or was the phone ringing and then it was like a voicemail like you would an answering machine in the 90s where it would pick up, but this was a cell phone. That's not how those work.
Voicemail back then?
Like, did the cell phones have voicemail? The cell phones had voicemail. You had to call it though. Like, it wasn't saved to your phone. Like, you had to call the voicemail.
Let's just write it off as fucking idiotic. And the fact that it took way too much time for me to find out who the ugly deadhead was. It didn't matter in the end at all that it was the detective. Like, it didn't matter. None of it mattered. Anyway, so yeah, that was my issues with that. So anyway, final thoughts on this horrible movie.
Absolutely loved it.
Oh my God. The Valentines were very well designed.
Those Valentines were so good.
Yeah.
Actually, I honestly love those Valentines.
I hope David Boreanaz got paid a lot of fucking money to be in this piece of shit.
This movie cost about $10 million, I'm pretty sure.
Well, I hope at least 5 of that went to him.
And Denise Richards.
Oh, give me a break.
Hello.
She'd say yes to an envelope.
Is this our second or our third Denise Richards movie?
I have no idea. Has she been in other ones?
Envelope. We did Starship Troopers.
Oh God. Well, she really does pick bad movies.
No.
Maybe she is the reason the movies are bad.
No. There are 2 other movies that I intend to pick that have her in it. And one, because before Terror Tuesday started, we had done Death Becomes Her, and then you had picked Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. And I was like, I'm gonna keep the dead going and do Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Oh, now that I do love. I do love that one.
Which we haven't done yet.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, that's a good. I'll give you that.
I'm super excited for you to watch Tammy and the T-Rex later on.
I saw that in your list on Letterbox or whatever that's called. And I was
Yeah.
like, I cannot believe she's going to try to make me see this. Um, there was a few in there that I was
the
like,
gore
oh,
version. Don't
no.
worry. We'll watch the
Anyway.
gore.
So I did not like this movie at all. It is something that I can never take back. I had to sit through it for this podcast, and I don't think people out there really appreciate what I do for this podcast. So you're welcome. And the nightmare of trying to watch this thing on Tubi, because on Tubi, it does not pick up where you left off. You
Right.
have to fast forward to the part that I had to do that 3 times just to see the head of the body. That didn't matter. So yeah.
Yeah. So
okay,
that
so
wraps
what
up
do
this Tuesday.
what do you rate Phantom?
Phantom, I would probably give like a 6 or a 7.
Yeah, I give it 7 toes
Yeah.
for sure.
Valentine, definitely a 9. So, I mean, that's obvious. Valentine's obviously like a 3 or a 4.
I'm giving it 2 toes.
No,
Just 2.
That's fair. That's fair.
2 pinky toes.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't talk about the girl who, when I was a kid, that scene with the, I can't remember who it is, but no, it's not Dorothy. When she's in the shower and like there's like broken glass and the killer just presses her throat onto like the shard of glass that's like facing up.
That was gross. Yeah.
I hated that as a kid. And then the blood's like in a pool, like in like a heart shape, coming from her neck. But as an adult, when I was rewatching that, I was like, do it, press.
Oh God, no, I didn't like that. I didn't care for it. And the angle that it went in just made you so uncomfortable. It's like I can't imagine what it was hitting on its way through her head. It's horrifying. So gross. So that's Terror Tuesday for this week. I'm glad you enjoyed Phantom of the Opera. Wonderful piece of cinema.
Valentine.
Sorry about Valentine. If you guys watched along with us, I apologize for Ashley.
You picked a very like classically good era, and I picked a classically bad era.
I mean, it works. It's fun. Whatever. That's the fun of it all.
So like, subscribe, review,
and and check us out on the Instagrams, One Foot Podcast. One Foot Podcast
at gmail.com.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, thank you. And next Tuesday. See you then.
Bye-bye.
Happy Valentine's Day.
What?
I don't know.